How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Nay, and today I wanted to talk about the update that brought along the Secrets of the North quest. It was released yesterday, January 11th. Sorry Americans, looks like we are going to be waiting until November for this quest. While overall the quest was received positively by the community, there is some drama that still is stemming from this update, mostly relating to the repeatable boss, as well as its drops. So let's talk about the boss, the Phantom Muspa. The fight was patched today. You used to be able to, in between hits on the melee phase, take a step back 1 to 2 tiles. It would make the boss walk towards you and throw the melee hit, and as long as you had Protect from Melee on, it would hit a 0. That was apparently an unintended mechanic. The way they wanted this fight to work was to have you freeze it and hit it with range or melee while kiting it around the room. So people are unhappy that we're taking the boss fight, lowering the skill level for the mechanics that we can use within it, and instead dumbing it down to pause the boss in place and hit it from afar. That's the only issue I've seen with the actual boss fight itself so far. A lot of what I've heard and seen actually stems from its drops and the items that it introduced into the game. I think the drop rates are fine where they are. It seems like most people are able to complete those collection logs in about 60 or so kill count. The only real question is, what is the drop rate on the pet? Obviously there's a bunch of early day spoons that happen. I'd probably either put it in line with the Vorkey pet from Vorkath, or maybe something like the Chaos Elemental, since it doesn't seem like one of those that would be a very big grind. Also, the pet's really not that attractive, so not many people I can see going for it. I've only seen one issue brought up with the Ancient Scepter so far, which is that whenever you switch weapons and bring it back up, it seems to forget what the autocast spell that you had set on it is. Although, realistically thinking about it, more than likely there's so many factors to that one that it's probably user error that the spells are being forgotten. The one I'm most confused about is that the new bow, the Venator bow, is now usable in Barbarian Assault a day later. That puzzles me only because I don't understand why this wasn't allowed in Barbarian Assault from the beginning. The bow fires arrows. Arrows are used in that minigame. It makes perfect sense why it would be allowed into there. The charges should be able to be used since it is still shooting arrows unlike all the other ones like the bow of Ferdinand. I don't like the idea of locking content specifically out of certain regions of this game. It just makes it overall more confusing. And if you don't believe that statement, just look at the wilderness and how every different zone in that area of the game has entirely different mechanics. The bow also got fixed. Apparently yesterday it was not doing its intended 2/3 damage on each of the bounce hits. It was only doing half damage. That has been hotfixed. The saturated heart is becoming tradable next week. That seems mostly like a group Iron Man storage transfer update. But they also specified that they wanted it for when you're in raid or boss encounters and you need to drop the heart in between players. And it's another boss where we have the drop table being in line to replenish the supplies that are needed to kill it. This has been the trend since I can pretty much remember starting this game a while ago. The only exception to that one was when the Nightmare of Phasani was released. It was more in line with the old school bosses, to where you have one big drop and everything else is just tiny little things put into the way. We can all see how the overall reception to the Nightmare of Phasani is and how active that content is, so clearly that drop system is no longer what the player base is liking or looking for. However, making the boss replenish supplies for each kill does take away from the skilling aspect of the game. It is drifting more toward a PVM base game. You don't need to go mining or woodcutting as much. The bosses all will drop those. Picking flax is a thing of the past thanks to Zulrah. The main complaint I've seen in that one is people pointing out that farming is becoming devalued. Since the boss is not dropping seeds and instead is dropping herbs, the seed prices are not changing at all. If anything, they're going to go down since the amount of herbs that are coming into the game has already taken a drastic hit on a few of them. Normally this does happen after an update and it will probably even out a little bit, but it will never come back to the way it was. This seems to just be the route that old school is going. Those of us that are coming back to the game are of age that we remember the God Wars era, not too much before that, whenever King Black Dragon and Calphite Queen were like the only bosses. And that's around the time that they started making the bosses give out drops akin to the worth of what you spend to kill them. They did still have the God Sword drop, so it was the big ones there, but you weren't hurting as much or spending as much money to go hunting for those. I don't know. I agree. The PvM aspect of the game is more fun. It is kind of sad to see the game deterring away from the skilling aspects of it as opposed to just being like a quest requirement or a diary requirement. But I think having a good balance in between the two levels of each one is a good thing. I hope we might get like a skill overhaul or something. Maybe the new skill will bring in an update to all of them. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of seeing quests having repeatable bosses. The follow-up quest is Desert Treasure 2 and that releases this summer, and it's going to have 4 repeatable quest bosses. I think that's something that should be special. Maybe save it for the finale like they did with Dragon Slayer 2. But overall, I'm very happy with this update. The quest was great. It leaves me excited for Desert Treasure 2 and what they're going to bring along with that. I think my main grievance is that aside from it being a repeatable boss, it does not seem at all aligned with the information they were giving us leading to the quest release. The boss definitely seems a lot tougher than what they had been teasing on the lead up to it, but I guess we'll just have to wait the 2-week period to see the actual stats to find out what the secrets are to make it easier. I'm sure there's something that somebody has not tried that takes it down to a reasonable level.